The Dragon Keeper's Revenge. Chapter 1. The Tournament of Champions. My name is Kale Stormwind, and at 28 years old, I was the youngest Dragon Knight commander in the history of the Celestial Empire. I had everything: respect, honor, the loyalty of my squadron, and the trust of the Emperor himself, until the day my best friends decided I had too much. The Tournament of Champions was the Empire's greatest event, held once every 5 years. Dragon Knights from across the realm competed for glory, and the winner would be granted the title of High Commander, second only to the Emperor in military authority. I stood in the preparation chamber, adjusting my armor. My dragon, Tempest, a magnificent storm-gray beast with silver eyes, waited in the arena above. We'd trained for months for this moment. Nervous? A familiar voice asked. I turned to see Marcus, my childhood friend and fellow Dragon Knight. At 30 years old, he'd been my companion through every challenge since we were teenagers at the Dragon Academy. Not nervous, I said with a smile. Ready.
That's what I like to hear. He clasped my shoulder. Listen, Kale, whatever happens out there today, I want you to know you're the best knight I've ever known. You deserve this. Thanks, Marcus. That means a lot. He left, and I took a deep breath. The tournament would have 3 rounds: aerial maneuvers, combat simulation, and finally, the bond trial, a test of the connection between knight and dragon. I'd practiced each element countless times. Tempest and I moved as one, our minds linked through the ancient Dragon Rider bond. We were unstoppable. The first round went perfectly. Tempest and I flew through the obstacle course with precision that drew gasps from the crowd. We completed it in record time. The second round, combat simulation against magical constructs, was equally flawless. Tempest's lightning breath combined with my sword techniques demolished every challenge. Then came the bond trial. For the final test, the Emperor announced from his viewing platform, each knight will demonstrate the depth of their bond by having their dragon perform complex maneuvers while the knight is blindfolded. True partnership requires perfect trust. I tied the ceremonial blindfold over my eyes and mounted Tempest. Through our mental link, I could feel his confidence, his eagerness to show what we could do together. Ready, partner? I asked through our bond. Always, Tempest replied, his mental voice strong and sure. We took flight. Even without sight, I could sense every movement through our connection. Tempest dove, rolled, spiraled through the air. The crowd cheered. We were performing flawlessly. Then something changed. A sharp, burning sensation in my mind. The bond flickered. I felt Tempest's confusion, his sudden distress. Kale, something's wrong. I can't... The connection severed completely. Without the bond, I had no way to anticipate Tempest's movements. I lost my balance and fell from his back. The crowd gasped. Time seemed to slow as I plummeted toward the arena floor. At the last moment, Tempest dove beneath me, catching me on his back before I hit the ground. But the damage was done. Disqualified! The judge's voice rang out. The bond was broken during the trial. Kale Stormwind is eliminated from the tournament. I tore off the blindfold, stunned. What? No! Something interfered! The rules are clear, the judge said firmly. A broken bond means failure. Marcus won the tournament. He stood on the victory platform, accepting the title of High Commander, while I watched from the sidelines, confused and humiliated. That night, I tried to understand what had happened. Tempest and I had never experienced a bond disruption before. It shouldn't have been possible. I felt it too, Tempest said as we sat together in his roost. Something pushed between us, like a wall slamming down. But what could do that? He didn't have an answer. Chapter 2. The Accusation. 3 days after the tournament, Imperial guards appeared at my quarters. Kale Stormwind, you are summoned before the Emperor. Immediately. My stomach dropped. A direct Imperial summons was never good news. I was brought before the throne room, where the Emperor sat with his advisors. Marcus stood to one side, now wearing the silver cloak of High Commander. But his expression wasn't triumphant. It was grim. Kale Stormwind, the Emperor began, his voice heavy. You stand accused of treason. The word hit me like a physical blow. What? Your Majesty, I would never—
Evidence has been found in your quarters, an advisor interrupted. Correspondence with the Northern Rebellion. Plans to sabotage the Imperial Dragon Corps. Documents bearing your seal and signature.
That's impossible! I've never communicated with the rebellion! Those documents must be forged!
The evidence is quite clear, the advisor continued coldly. You've been working with our enemies. The disruption of your bond during the tournament? You did it yourself to avoid winning, to avoid scrutiny while you completed your plans.
No! Tempest, tell them—
Dragons cannot testify in Imperial Court, the Emperor said sadly. You know this, Kale. I'm sorry, but the evidence against you is overwhelming.
I looked at Marcus, desperate. Marcus, you know me! Tell them this is insane!
I would never betray the Empire. Marcus met my eyes, and something in his expression made my blood run cold. The evidence speaks for itself, Kale. I wish it weren't true, but all the signs point to you. You don't believe this, I said, searching his face. You can't. He looked away. The Emperor sighed. Kale Stormwind, you are hereby stripped of your rank, your title, and your position in the Dragon Corps. You will be exiled to the Forbidden Mountains, never to return to Imperial lands. Your dragon, Tempest, will be reassigned to another rider.
No!
I shouted.
You can't separate us!
The bond can be transferred through the severance ritual, the advisor said. It will be done tomorrow. Guards, take him to the holding cells. As they dragged me away, I saw Marcus standing motionless, his face unreadable, and I understood. He had done this. My best friend had betrayed me. Chapter 3, The Severance. The severance ritual was the most painful experience of my life. Magical chains bound me while court mages worked their spell, cutting the bond between Tempest and me. Through the fading connection, I felt Tempest's rage, his anguish.
Kale, fight them! I won't accept another rider!
I'm sorry, I sent back, tears streaming down my face. I'm so sorry, my friend. This isn't over, Tempest promised. I will find you. I swear it. Then the bond snapped, and I felt more alone than I ever had in my life. They exiled me that same day. I was given basic supplies and a map to the edge of Imperial territory. Beyond that lay the Forbidden Mountains, a wild, dangerous region where dragons lived free, without riders, without the Empire's control. You're lucky the Emperor showed mercy, the guard said as he pushed me through the border gate. Traitors usually face worse. He must have remembered your past service. I said nothing. I just walked into the wilderness, leaving behind everything I'd ever known. For 3 days, I traveled through increasingly rugged terrain. The mountains rose before me, their peaks lost in clouds. I had no plan, no purpose. I was a dragon knight without a dragon, a warrior without an army, a man without a home. On the 4th day, I collapsed beside a mountain stream, exhausted and despairing. What was I supposed to do now? Live as a hermit in these mountains? That's when I heard the voice. You carry the scent of dragons, human, but also the stench of betrayal. I looked up to see a dragon unlike any I'd encountered in the Imperial Corps. She was massive, easily twice Tempest's size, with scales that shimmered between emerald and sapphire. Her eyes were ancient, knowing.
Who are you?
I asked.
I am Meridia, elder of the free dragons, and you are the human who was cast out by his own kind. We've been watching you since you crossed into our territory.
Free dragons? I'd heard rumors of wild dragons in these mountains, but the Empire claimed they were just myths.
Very real, as you can see. The Empire likes to pretend we don't exist because we refuse to be tamed, to be bound to human riders like pets.
She lowered her massive head to my level.
Tell me, Kale Stormwind, why should we not simply chase you away? You are one of them, one of the Empire's dragon knights who enslave our cousins.
I was one of them, I said bitterly, but my own people betrayed me, framed me for treason, severed my bond with Tempest. I have nothing left.
Interesting. And what will you do now?
I met her ancient eyes. I don't know. I want them to pay for what they did, for what they're still doing. Meridia studied me for a long moment.
Come with me, human.
There is someone you should meet. Chapter 4, The Dragon Sanctuary. Meridia led me deeper into the mountains, to a hidden valley I never would have found on my own. And there, I saw something that took my breath away. Hundreds of dragons, maybe thousands. They filled the valley, dragons of every size and color, living freely, quickly, flying in formations that were beautiful rather than military. Young dragons played in the air while elders rested on sun-warmed rocks. "This is incredible," I breathed. "This is what dragons were meant to be," Meridia said, "before your empire began stealing eggs, raising hatchlings in captivity, forcing bonds through magical compulsion." "Forcing bonds?" I frowned. "The Dragon Academy taught us that bonding was natural, that dragons chose their riders." "Lies," another voice said. A man emerged from a cave entrance, around 35 years old, with scars marking his face and arms. "The Academy uses magic to make young dragons imprint on human riders. The dragons don't choose. They're conditioned." "Who are you?" "Darius, former Dragon Knight commander, like you. I was exiled 8 years ago when I discovered the truth and tried to expose it."
They branded me a traitor too.
I stared at him. "Commander Darius?"
But they said you were lost in battle.
"They say a lot of things." He gestured to the valley. "There are others here. 23 former Dragon Knights who discovered the Empire's lies and were cast out for it. Welcome to the Dragon Sanctuary, Kale. The one place where dragons and humans live as true equals." Over the next few weeks, I learned the truth about everything I'd believed. The Empire's Dragon Corps wasn't a partnership between humans and dragons. It was slavery, dressed up with ceremony and tradition. Eggs were stolen from free dragon nests. Hatchlings were magically conditioned to bond with human riders, their wills bent to serve. The severance ritual that had been used on me? It was originally designed to break free dragons' resistance, to make them accept Imperial control. Tempest wasn't choosing to be your partner, Darius explained as we sat by a fire one evening. He was magically compelled to bond with you when he was just a hatchling. The bond you thought was natural was actually forced on him. I felt sick. "But he seemed happy. We were friends." "The conditioning makes them believe they're happy. It's insidious." He paused. "But here's the thing. Once a bond is severed, the conditioning breaks too. If Tempest is still alive, he's probably starting to remember what it felt like to be free. Then I need to find him," I said immediately. "I need to apologize, to make this right." "Tempest is in the Imperial Dragon Roost," Meridia said, joining our conversation, heavily guarded. "They're trying to force a new bond with Marcus, but so far Tempest has resisted. He's strong-willed." Pride swelled in my chest, followed immediately by guilt. Of course Tempest was strong, and I'd never known that strength was being suppressed by magic. "I have to free him," I said firmly. "We can help with that," Darius said. "But first, you need to understand what you're really fighting for. This isn't just about revenge, Kale. This is about ending the Empire's enslavement of dragons. Are you ready to commit to that?" I thought about Tempest, trapped in a cage, being forced to accept a new rider. I thought about all the dragons in the Imperial Corps, living in beautiful prisons, their true natures suppressed. "Yes," I said, "I'm ready." Chapter 5. Training with the Free Dragons. Living in the Dragon Sanctuary changed everything I thought I knew. Free dragons were fiercer, wilder, but also more joyful. I watched them play elaborate games in the sky, heard them sing in the evenings, saw their complex social structures. Dragons are intelligent beings, Meridia explained. More intelligent than most humans give them credit for. In the Empire, that intelligence is suppressed. Here, they're free to be themselves. She taught me to communicate through mutual respect, not magical bonds. "You must ask, not command," she instructed. "You must listen, not assume." I trained with Darius and the other former knights, learning to work alongside dragons without relying on a bond. In the Imperial Corps, you became dependent, Darius explained during sparring. Here, you have to actually trust the dragon, and they have to trust you back. 6 months after arriving, I joined my first mission. A free dragon named Skyfire learned the Empire planned to raid a wild nest to steal eggs. "We're stopping them," Skyfire announced. "Kale, we need your knowledge of Imperial tactics." "I'll help," I said immediately. 12 free dragons and 5 former knights intercepted the raiders. The squadron was led by Marcus. "Remember," Darius whispered, "we're here to protect the eggs, not for violence." The free dragons descended from the clouds. Marcus's voice rang out. "Attack formation! These are free beings defending their home!" I shouted, revealing myself. "Marcus, call off your raid! You're stealing children from their parents." Shock crossed his face. "Kale, you're alive?" "I'm with the truth," I said.
Something you abandoned when you framed me. The confrontation was brief. We drove them off without serious casualties. The eggs remained safe. As the Imperial squadron retreated, Marcus looked back at me. I hoped he was finally starting to question everything. Chapter 6. The Rescue Plan. 8 months after my exile, we learned the Tempest was scheduled to be transferred to a remote Imperial outpost. He'd still refused to bond with Marcus, and the Empire was losing patience. They're going to use the full conditioning ritual, one of our scouts reported. The one that completely breaks a dragon's will. After that, Tempest won't be able to resist anymore. I stood abruptly. When? 3 days from now. They're moving him under heavy guard. Then we intercept them, I said firmly. I won't let them destroy who he is. Darius looked concerned. Kale, the guard will be substantial.
This isn't like the egg raid. They'll be prepared for confrontation. I don't care. Tempest risked everything to catch me when I fell during that tournament. I owe him the same loyalty. Meridia regarded me thoughtfully. This would be dangerous, but I understand the debt you feel you owe. Very well. The Free Dragons will support this rescue. We spent 2 days planning. The transfer would happen through the Crystal Canyon, a narrow pass where an ambush would be most effective. 20 Free Dragons volunteered to help, along with 8 former knights. The goal is to free Tempest, not to start a war, I reminded everyone. We disable the guards, break the chains, and get out. Understood? Everyone nodded. The day of the rescue, my heart pounded as we took our positions in the canyon walls. I rode with Skyfire, who'd become my closest dragon ally in the sanctuary. Are you ready for this? She asked. I have to be. Tempest deserves his freedom. The Imperial convoy appeared. 10 dragon knights escorting a massive cage on wheels. Inside, I could see Tempest's gray scales. Even from a distance, I could sense his misery. We struck from above. Free dragons descended in a coordinated strike, targeting the cage rather than the riders. I leaped from Skyfire's back onto the cage itself, my sword drawn. Kale? Tempest's voice was weak, disbelieving. Is that really you? I'm here, my friend. I'm getting you out. The Imperial Knights tried to stop me, but the Free Dragons kept them occupied. I worked frantically at the cage locks, using techniques Darius had taught me. Marcus appeared, landing beside the cage on his dragon. Kale, stop!
You're only making things worse for yourself.
Making things worse? I laughed bitterly. Marcus, you framed me for treason. You got me exiled. How could things possibly be worse? I did what I had to do, he shouted back. You don't understand. Then explain it to me. For a moment, he hesitated. Then, the High Commander position.
I needed it, Kale.
My family was deep in debt. The Emperor promised to clear everything if I took you down. I'm sorry, but I had no choice. You always have a choice, I said quietly, finally breaking the last lock. The cage door swung open. Tempest emerged, stretching his wings for the first time in months. The conditioning chains fell away, and I saw clarity return to his silver eyes. Kale, he said, and his mental voice was his own again, not filtered through the forced bond. Thank you. I'm the one who should thank you for everything. And I'm sorry, so sorry for never realizing that our bond wasn't real, that it was forced on you. It became real, Tempest said gently. Maybe it started with magic, but what we built together, that was genuine. You treated me with respect, with kindness. That was you, not the conditioning. We need to go, Skyfire called. More Imperial forces are approaching. I turned to Marcus one last time. You chose ambition over friendship. I hope it was worth it. We escaped into the mountains, Tempest flying freely among the other dragons, and watching him soar, unbound and unchained. I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Chapter 7. Building the Resistance. Word of Tempest's rescue spread quickly. Within weeks, 3 more former Dragon Knights arrived at the sanctuary, disillusioned after witnessing our operation. You showed the Empire could be challenged, one said.
That their control isn't absolute.
More importantly, questions spread through the core about the nature of their bonds. Meridia called a council meeting. The time has come for more direct action. For too long, we've hidden while the Empire enslaves our kin. Kale's rescue showed we can strike back. Now we must do more. What are you proposing?
Darius asked. An organized resistance. We free more dragons. We spread the truth. We make it impossible for them to continue. Over 6 months, we conducted operations. We freed captured dragons before conditioning. We disrupted egg raids. We spread information about what the Dragon Core really was. I worked closely with Tempest. Our relationship had changed. No longer rider and dragon, but equals.
It was better this way.
More honest. Do you ever miss the bond? I asked one evening. Sometimes, he admitted. It was comfortable, but this is real. I choose to work with you now, Kale. That means something the bond never did. One night, 3 Dragon Knights appeared under a flag of truce, led by Captain Sarah Windcaller, 29 years old, someone I'd trained with at the academy. We're not here to fight, she said. We're here because we want the truth, about the bonds, about the condition, about everything. I stepped forward. Sarah? She smiled sadly. Hello, Kale. I never believed you were a traitor. After seeing what you've been doing, I started asking questions the Empire didn't want to answer. The 3 had discovered documents proving the conditioning program. They'd confronted superiors and been threatened with exile if they didn't stay silent. So we left, Sarah said, and we want to help.
There are others in the Corps who are questioning too.
If we work together, we might change things. That night marked a turning point. We weren't just a sanctuary, we were a movement.
Chapter 8. The Truth Revealed. 1 year after my exile, we obtained proof, documents detailing the entire conditioning program, how it worked, who authorized it, how long it had been going on. We need to make this public, I said at the council meeting. The Emperor will deny it, Darius warned. Let him try, Sarah said. We have witnesses, former knights, dragons freed from conditioning.
Citizens who've started questioning.
We launched our campaign. Documents appeared in every major city simultaneously. Former knights gave public testimonies. Free dragons showed themselves to citizens. The response was explosive. Some were outraged at the Empire. Others defended the core. The Empire tried to suppress the information, but it spread too fast. The Emperor called us dangerous extremists, but tellingly didn't deny the conditioning program's existence. More Dragon Knights began defecting.
Our ranks swelled.
3 months later, we received a message from Marcus. I need to meet with Kale. I have information.
Everyone warned it was a trap, but something in his message seemed genuine. I agreed to meet at a neutral location. I arrived with Tempest. Marcus was there, looking older, tired. Thank you for coming, he said. What do you want, Marcus? I want to apologize, and I want to help. I stared at him.
You're serious? I've been watching what you're doing. Kale, I didn't know about the conditioning. When I learned the truth, he looked away. I realized what I'd become, what I'd done to you. You framed me for treason, I said coldly. You destroyed my life. I know, I can't take that back, but I can try to make it right. As High Commander, I have access to information even other knights don't see. I've been copying documents. Evidence about other programs worse than conditioning.
He handed me a folder. This is just the start. If you'll work with me, I can get you more. Enough to bring down the entire corrupt system. I looked at the folder, then at Marcus. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't, he said honestly. I betrayed that trust once, but I'm asking for a chance to earn it back. Not for forgiveness. I don't deserve that.
But to help fix what I helped break. I thought about the anger I'd carried, the desire for revenge. But I also thought about the free dragons, about Tempest, about the movement we were building. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about change. One chance, I said finally. One. He smiled slightly. Thank you, Kale. Chapter 9. The Summit. 6 months later, the impossible happened. The Emperor agreed to a summit. Public pressure had become too great to ignore. Noble houses were threatening to withdraw support. Citizens were protesting in major cities. And most significantly, a full quarter of the Dragon Corps had defected or refused orders. The Empire was collapsing under the weight of its own lies. The summit was held on neutral ground, the Skyreach Plateau, a massive flat mountaintop visible for miles. The Emperor brought his advisors and remaining loyal Dragon Knights. We brought representatives from the Free Dragons, our human allies, and defected knights. I stood across from the Emperor, the man I'd once served loyally.
and felt nothing but disappointment.
"These are your demands?" he said, reviewing the document we'd presented. "Not demands.
Requirements for peace," I corrected. "The immediate cessation of all conditioning programs. The release of all captive dragons with the choice to stay or leave. Reparations for free dragon communities, and a truth process for what was done." You're asking me to dismantle the Dragon Core entirely. I'm asking you to rebuild it honestly. Dragons and humans can still work together, but it has to be genuine partnership, not slavery. The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Then, "And if I refuse?" Meridia stepped forward, her massive form dwarfing everyone present.
"Then the free dragons will go to war. We have been patient. We have tried peace, but we will not allow this to continue. A war between dragons and humans would devastate both sides," the Emperor argued. "Then don't make us fight one," Sarah said. "She'd become one of our primary representatives, respected by both sides. Your Majesty, the Empire can survive this change, but only if you're willing to adapt." The negotiations lasted 3 days. There were heated arguments, compromises, setbacks, but slowly we reached an agreement. The conditioning program would end immediately. Informant dragons in the core would undergo a reversal ritual, breaking the artificial bonds.
They could then choose, stay and form genuine partnerships with knights, or leave to join the free dragons. The Empire would provide reparations and formally apologize for centuries of enslavement, and a new system would be established, one where dragons and humans worked together as true equals. When the Emperor finally signed the agreement, I felt Tempest's joy through our new, natural connection. Not the forced bond of before, but a friendship we'd both chosen. "We did it," he said. "We actually did it." "We had help," I said, looking at all the people and dragons who'd made this possible. A lot of help. Epilogue. New beginnings. 2 years after the summit, I stood in the reformed Dragon Academy, watching young knights in training meet dragons for the first time. "Remember," Sarah said, she'd become head of a new program, "you don't choose your partner. You both choose each other. Be patient. Be respectful. Never take their trust for granted." The academy was different now. Dragons came and went freely. Bonds formed through respect, not magic. Marcus worked here too, teaching combat and the history of what the Empire did wrong. His penance, he called it. "They're good students," he observed. "They're learning the right way," I said. We'd never fully repaired our friendship, but we'd found a way to work together. Darius ran the sanctuary, now a place of learning. Free dragons and former knights taught classes on dragon culture, genuine partnership, the hidden truth. Tempest split his time between sanctuary and academy, helping young dragons navigate their choices. Some chose to work with humans, others preferred to remain free. Both were honored. As for me, I'd found peace, not through revenge, though there had been justice, but through building something better. That evening, I flew with Tempest through the mountains, just for joy. No mission, no purpose beyond spending time together. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked. "Everything you gave up?" "I gave up a lie," I said, "and gained something real. No, I don't regret it." "Good, because I don't either." We soared higher, into the clouds where the air was thin and cold and free. The man betrayed by his best friend had helped change the world, not through violence or hatred, but through persistence, truth, and the courage to imagine something better. And that, in the end, was the best revenge of all. The end.